Hello, this is JP Hrisoulas, the cranky old bastard. I'm going to go over grain reduction during edge packing. I'm going to be speaking in very broad general terms. This term has been supposedly debunked. I just use it because that's the term I was taught it was called. Grain reduction during edge packing will result in a better blade, but first let me get into a little bit of what it is. When modern steel is manufactured, it is no longer basically forged, it is now rolled from a large pig. The pig being the cast steel block, and it's reduced via pressure and rolling. And the grain structure that results from it basically lines itself in the direction of the draw, which means the grains are running more or less lengthwise on the piece. The pieces of steel we get today are vastly superior than they were 200 years ago, even earlier than that. The term edge packing goes back to basically the dawn of metalworking. What it did back then was help reduce the airspace, if there was any left, in the bar, help to conglomerate the material more or less uniformly through the bar, and drive out any slag or impurities. This is going back to ancient metalworking technology. That belief still holds over today. What it doesn't do is, one, it doesn't make the atoms closer together. And you can't do that with a hammer. Nor does it make the atoms denser or align the molecules with magnetic north. That doesn't do that. No, that's wrong. What it does, when properly executed, is it helps fracture the grain structure even further. Now, when steel gets hot, it can start getting grain growth. And the enemy of grains is time and temperature. The hotter you get it, and the longer it stays that hot, the larger the grains are going to become, and those have to be reduced, because a large grain steel is nowhere near as tough or as durable as a finer, smaller grain steel. If you do not know what you're doing when you're forging a blade, you can induce grain growth up to your eyeballs. Not a good thing. This is where most bladesmiths fail when they first start. They have no idea what they're doing as far as how to prevent the grain growth from occurring. To prevent it, you have to keep it under the temperatures of, let's say, for most carbon steels, 1800, 1900 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a full cherry red. Anything higher than that, you can start getting grain growth. Most of your forging will have between 1650 and 1750, maybe 1800, depending on the alloy and the material. Now, in order to get the best results from quote-unquote edge packing, you will have to reduce the thickness by at least 50%, if not more. The repeated hammering, the impacts of those hammer blows, when properly done, will further fracture the material grains, which will impart a tougher blade, all else being equal. To basically make this one step further, after you finish forging the blade, it is strongly suggested that you stress relieve it, which is basically taking it to a temperature of about 1650 to 1700 degrees Fahrenheit, holding it momentarily, and letting the furnace cool slowly. Or, if you don't want to do that, bury it in a bucket of ashes or sand to help cool it slower. That's basically it. Where most makers get in trouble is with the temperature control. They get it way too hot, they don't pay attention, and it imparts grain structure larger than it should be. This is easily preventable. A lot of makers will say, oh, I could just thermal cycle it out. Yes, you can. But why would you need to if you forge it properly to begin with? If you wish to thermal cycle it after your forging is done, feel free to do so. It will not cause any harm. It shouldn't cause any harm if properly done, I would say. Other than that, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I have heard a lot of strange things about quote-unquote edge packing. As I said, about the making the atoms tighter together, the molecules smaller, aligning to the true north, or imparting magic to the blade, and all this other rigmarole, which just isn't right. But old old legends like never really die. And I just happen to enjoy hearing some of them because they are quite amusing when you start thinking about it. But anyway, I digress. If you found this video of use, if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. If you have not already done so, please hit the subscription button. That is all for this evening. May the wise Lord bless and keep you. Have a nice evening. Good night.